The Leagues Cup group stage has come to a close, and we're into the knockout rounds now. The round of 32 begins on Wednesday night with two West Coast games in LA and Vancouver. We'll also see Columbus and Club America joining the mix after they had byes in the group stage. In this video, I'm going to cover the two games on Wednesday and the four on Thursday in these Leagues Cup predictions before diving into the rest of the games a little bit later this week. If you want to get more Leagues Cup, be sure to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel to get more, and before you bet, check out the link. I'll put this in the comments, signupexpert.com/shredthespread. You can get $500, $1,000, or even up to $1,500 in free bonus bets, depending which sportsbook you choose for new customers at various sportsbooks in your region. Be sure to click the link in the comments and you can see what's available in your region for new customers. There's all kinds of great things out there, so be sure to check it out. Let's start with the two games on Wednesday. We have LAFC playing Austin in this all MLS matchup. LAFC have been one of the top teams in MLS and in all competitions all season long. Leagues Cup, they beat Tijuana 3-0 before fighting back to draw Vancouver 2-2 before going on to lose in PKs. Still, they're 14-2-2 in 18 overall matches, and they've scored multiple goals in 13 of their last 18. After a run that saw them win only 2 games in 11, Austin are one of the surprises of this tournament as they beat Pumas 3-2 while being down a man, and then they beat one of the Giants in Mexico, Monterrey, 2-0 in their second game as well. Having drawn Charlotte 2-2 before Leagues Cup, they've now scored 2 or more goals in 3 straight games. Osman Bakari made a brief appearance against the Pumas in the Pumas game before getting red carded, so we'll finally get to see him as he returns from his suspension, and that's the new Austin DP winger. Head-to-head this season, these teams drew 1-1 in Austin in June. LAFC has won the 3 previous meetings, though, in past seasons, 4-2, 3-0, and 3-0. LAFC should win this game, but this Austin team has been different in Leagues Cup. They've already taken out some big opponents. LAFC did find themselves down 2-0 to Vancouver, so instead of betting on an LAFC win, I'm going to just bet LAFC to score over 1.5 goals as leg 1 of this parlay, just in case this game turns into a shootout. And the second game on Wednesday is the Vancouver Whitecaps and Pumas. This is the first meeting between these teams. The Caps enter the round of 32 after beating LAFC in PKs after drawing 2-2 and then beating Tijuana 3-1. Taking a friendly loss to Wrexham, the Caps are 7-1-9, outscoring opponents 23-14. Their games have been open with bets on both teams to score an over 2.5, hitting in 7 of their last 9. Now, of course, Vancouver's offense does lose some firepower, with Ryan Gold still being out injured. Pumas' League Cup campaign saw them lose to Austin 3-2 despite being up a player for most of the game. They then went to Monterrey and drew 1-1, and that went on to win in PKs. It's been a strong start in the Apertura for Pumas. They're 3-1-0. They're second, tied overall in first with Cruz Azul and Tigres on 10 points. They've scored 9 goals, conceded just 3 in those 4 games in Mexico. If you go back further, Pumas has just 2 losses in 14 games now. They've scored in 11 of 13. They've scored multiple in 5 of 7. But they've conceded in 7 of 8, and both teams to score. Bets have gone 6-1 in their last 7. That's all about this game. Let's go both teams to score as leg 2 of this Wednesday parlay. Vancouver and Pumas, both teams to score. LAFC over 1.5. That would come in at plus 116. Those odds have already shortened. It was at 125 a little bit earlier, already down to plus 116. Of course, if you wanted to make this even simpler and have a smaller payout, you could just ask for over 1.5 goals between Vancouver and Pumas. But I'll go both teams to score there, get that plus 116 odds for that parlay. Let's move into Thursday. There's 4 games. We're going to include 3 into one parlay here, starting with Miami and Toronto. Playing without some of their stars didn't matter in Game 1 of Leagues Cup for Miami as they beat Puebla 2-0. Match Day 2, though, it wasn't enough versus Tigres as they lost 2-1. Messi is still injured from Copa America. Luis Suarez has a knock as well, but the Herons still have plenty of stars to make up for it. The shutout against Puebla is their only clean sheet, though, in 12 games. Bets on both teams scored over 2.5 had been 11-1 before that time. TFC has now won 2 of 3 in MLS prior to the tournament, and they continued to build on that momentum in Leagues Cup, drawing the Red Bulls and winning in PKs, and then beating Champions Cup winners Pachuca 2-1. On July 17th, Miami beat Toronto 3-1 in Miami. Last season, both teams won at home. Toronto 2-1 in March before the roster overhaul for Miami, and then Miami won later in the season 4-0. Now, Toronto may be improved, and they have some improved results here. They've won 4 of 5. 1 did need PKs. However, that 1 loss in those 5 games was versus this Miami team. Miami should probably get the win here again. It could certainly be a both teams to score. Miami wins, but don't often keep clean sheets. Toronto certainly has the talent to score. Let's just ask Miami, though, to score over 1.5 goals for leg 1 of this parlay. Next up, San Jose, Necaxa. This is the first ever meeting between these teams. We just talked about how Seattle has been, we'll be talking about Seattle a bit later. Seattle has been strong, but they did lose 3-1 to this Necaxa team on match day 3. Necaxa lost 1-0 in their home game to Minnesota, but but they were stonewalled by Dane Sinclair, who made 16 saves. Necaxa now has just 2 wins in 6 games, but only 7 losses in 26. They've scored in 19 of 21, but also conceded in 19 of 21, including in 9 straight games. The Quakes know all about giving up goals. They've done so in 27 of 29 overall matches this season, including multiple goals they've given up in 8 of 12 in their last 16 games in all competitions. They only have 2 wins. One of those was this tournament versus Chivas, when they drew Chivas 1-1 before going on to win in PKs. Still, that's just 1 regulation win in 16 games. San Jose often can at least score, coupled with their poor defense. It's rare that we don't see 2 or more goals in their games. That's something that's happened in 12 of their last 14. We'll go over 1.5 goals in this game for the parlay. Now we have an all-Mexican matchup here, Tigres and Pachuca. Tigres beat Puebla 2-1 before also beating Miami 2-1 in this tournament. Tigres is off to a strong start, 3-1-0, undefeated and 3rd in the Apertura. This after a 1-0 win, 1-1 draw, 1-0 win, and 3-0 win. In all competitions, they have just 4 losses in 17 games, and those have come to Club America, Monterrey, Columbus, and Pachuca. Pachuca drew the Red Bulls 1-1. They won in PKs before losing 2-1 Toronto in their second game. Pachuca's off to a slow start, though, in LigaMX. They're 12th, they're 1-1-2. Their games have all been close. They've scored just twice, and they've allowed just 3 times as well. Between these teams, Pachuca won most recently 3-0 in April. Last year, they drew 1-1. Tigres won 4-1 in LigaMX, and Tigres won 2-1 in the Campeón de Campeones. Pachuca isn't the same team, though. Right now, they won the Champions Cup with just 1 win in 6. This should likely be a Tigres win. They just beat Miami, and they didn't even start André Pierre Gignac. Tigres to win, or simply to score in this parlay, would be the simple bet here. So we'll go Tigres to score, mixed with San Jose Necaxa over 1.5, and Miami over 1.5. Coming in at plus 104, created that at Bet365. I don't see the odds up for these games yet at Caesars, but usually when you create these type of scoring props, you can get slightly better price over at Caesars, so be sure to check them out as well. One more game here, won't use it in the parlay, but we have Seattle and the LA Galaxy. Seattle beat Minnesota 2-0 on match day 1, but that was a 0-0 game until late, and Minnesota took a red card. On match day 2, they surprisingly lost 3-1 to Necaxa. Seattle now has just 4 losses, though, in 21 games in all competition, and only 2 losses in their last 11. The Galaxy beat San Jose 2-1, and they drew Chivas Guadalajara 2-2 before winning in PKs. In their llast 14 games, they're 11-0-3, but 10-1-3 in regulation. They've scored 29 goals and conceded 18. That's made bets on both teams to score in over 2.5, 10-4, with recent scores of 2-2, 2-1, 3-2, 3-2, 2-0, 2-1, 2-1, and 3-0. There's a boatload of goals coming on each side of the pitch in LA games. Seattle games, though, are a little bit less wide open. 4 of 7 recent games have gone under 2.5, and both teams to score is just 2-5 in that time. In 2 games this season where these teams have met, LA won 1-0 at home in March, and the teams drew 0-0 in Seattle in May. These recent meetings have been very tight and low scoring, but the previous 5 in other seasons all saw both teams to score in over 2.5, and the previous 7 all saw both teams to score. I think this is a tough game to call, with Seattle games being a little tighter, LA games being a little more wide open. Being in Seattle, LA being a little bit better team, I would say perhaps a draw, but I'm not going to make that an official bet. Those will be my 2 parlays that we talked about earlier for Leagues Cup round of 32 on Wednesday and Thursday. What are your bets this week or later in the week? Be sure to share them down there in the comments, and good luck.